I'm Faith, and welcome to Faith's Take, where I talk about anything and everything that I find interesting. Welcome to my raw reaction of episode 6 of MST3K The Gauntlet, Ator the Fighting Eagle, and this was the last episode of the very short season, so let's just quickly get into my raw reactions. Okay, so we're going to dive into the last episode of The Gauntlet with Ator the Fighting Eagle, I think is the full title, and this actually has an advantage for me that it might not have several view, being that I actually have not seen the riff tracks for this one. Riff tracks did this last year, I think. I've been meaning to for a super long time, but I haven't gotten to it yet. And it is sad that this is the last one. I'm excited to see first off, what Jonah's plan is, what he's been building, I'm assuming is going to come up. So I hope that something good comes of it. What I don't expect anything good coming from is the whole idiot control now thing. I've talked about that. Look, if it's at this point, I will settle for a Jonah and the Bots cover of it, just because if you're going to say it's from Pod People, then I have it be the Pod People cut, and it's like, oh, then please have them sing it instead. But if I've learned anything this season so far, it's like I don't trust, at least yet. This could change my mind, and I'm 100% open to that. But it's that I don't trust these guys with storylines being resolved nicely. So we'll see. I'm gonna give them a chance. I'm definitely gonna give them a chance. They should have a good track record so far, but it's only been the one season, so let's see if we even get a resolution at all.
Season finales are easy. Nothing surprising ever happens. Cynthia,
don't play me. Don't play me like this. It didn't even start at the beginning of the song. So they really are just going with them playing this version? Not even Jonah and the Bots? Do we not even get to see the actual...
This is World War Z.
Come on.
This is the battle of the network stars.
I'm scared, Jonah.
You can get through one
It's
more.
okay. Dig deep. If our plan works, no one will ever have to watch a bad movie ever again.
Oh, what's that mean?
Hollywood's going. That means we'll never watch sin.
See?
Okay, I just need to be sure. So, they're not even gonna show the ashes being spread, which, again, I don't know exactly how they would do that, but I guess my big thing is, they made such a big deal out of it, and the whole thing with the King of Chrome or something, and then we're not even gonna see it? That's just odd to me. Let's make a big deal of it, and then not show it actually happen, first off. They didn't even play the full song. I mean, that could be the ending. I'll give it this, that could be at the very end. They either show us the whole thing, or they play the whole thing. I guess I should be grateful that we didn't have to sit through a whole 2 minutes of them being like worse than Crow with their mouths open. Like, in one way, I'm like, oh, thank goodness it wasn't longer, but in another way, I'm like, why would you build it up like that? And then if you were excited to see that, you don't get to see it. If you're excited to hear the whole version of the song, you don't get to hear it. If you're excited to see the whole scene with Dr. Earhart, you don't get to see it.
You know, you can take our sanity, but you can never take our freedom!
She did.
We're all prisoners forced to do whatever she says.
Really, our freedom is the first thing she took.
If I don't make it through this movie, avenge me!
Come on, it's one more. You guys can do it.
And there was no room at the manger for the camera.
Itsy bitsy spider climbs up the what? Something.
The spiders from Mars.
Oh, the spiders, they squeak me out.
Torrid have had a son.
Strange, we weren't invited to the shower.
All the signs tell us that tonight in some...
So they worship Sam the Eagle?
The boy will be in safe hands with us. We're simple, honest folk here, and I have milk enough.
TMI.
It's weird.
I'll just put him here.
I was about to say, don't drop the other baby.
I'm sure you guys will sort all this out.
Yeah, they're so cute.
Well, I've done my good deed for the day. Bye.
Oh, and don't feed him after midnight and don't get him wet, okay? Bye.
That's Ator. He's beautiful.
Why can't we marry? Like a married couple.
We are brother and sister.
Record scratch.
What?
Look, there goes Ator with his game, like always.
It's more.
He's different from the rest of us.
That was incredible.
Brother and sister. I know times have
So
changed,
weird.
but you'd allow me to marry my sister? She is not your sister.
In fact, no one is. You can marry all of us. Yay!
Come here, not here.
Wait, okay, wait, I'm sorry, I gotta stop this for half a second here. So, Ator wants to marry his sister, and I thought, okay, well, it's still super, super creepy, because they were clearly raised as siblings, but I guess he figures because he's adopted. But based on what his dad just said, he didn't know he was adopted. So, Ator was completely ready to marry who he thought was his full-blooded sister. What is wrong with this movie? It would have been weird enough if he knew he was adopted and wanted to marry his adopted sister who they were raised together since being babies. That's already creepy enough. But knowing, or like not knowing, thinking it was his actual blooded sister, ugh, that's just weird.
You mean he's not my brother?
No, my child, he is not.
Well, then I'm not interested.
Both suck the same milk now that you have decided to marry son. We are very...
He thought they were like twin siblings until
This is
now.
gonna make the wedding invitations kind of complicated.
Well, then you'll be my...
3K.
My name is Ator Montoya. You've must my head. Stolen my wife.
Slash sister, long story.
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
Ugh.
Hi-ho, Kermit the Enchanter.
Rule number 2, I'm a sadistic jerk.
Rule number...
So far, riff-wise, this one has been like super good. So let's hope it continues.
Greba shall teach you the many rules of tough man stuff. Rule 19, laugh with Greba, not at Greba. I am your guru.
Well, you are gruesome, Waka
Man, he said Waka Waka, yay! That was fun.
First we fight on the kitty waterfall.
Oh, are they still in the costumes? Oh, cool. Well, the bots anyway.
Model is in trouble.
Oh, are they changing? Oh, there we go. Okay.
Hope you say
I'll be right there. Oh, I can stand.
I could have handled it alone.
Oh, come on.
Can I have your scrunchie?
He saved your freaking life.
Hi, my name is Ator, and I'm terrible tasting.
Ator. Yes, Miss Hannigan.
The victor at the end of the contest will have the great honor to bear the child that is our future leader.
What?
Dismount.
This was gross enough with the whole sibling marriage.
Hi, Sheba.
You, Rune, will be the one to carry in your body
Oh,
the future queen
gosh.
of our tribe. Now,
This is
plain and
gross.
simple, he is yours for tonight. As the sun rises tomorrow, you will kill him. You don't have.
What if he doesn't get her pregnant, though?
Okay.
Where is this wonderful virgin?
Well, I didn't say that.
Oh, God.
Watch this.
This movie is bizarre. First he wants to marry who he thinks is his full-blooded sister, who they were raised together as babies and onward. And now there's this cult of women who just captured this guy just to rape him to have a baby. And they're gonna kill him in the morning, not knowing whether or not he actually, like, gave her a baby. So this movie is like very different than what I thought it would be. There's a lot of ickiness that I didn't think was gonna be in this.
It's a 5-hour lethargy drink.
Yeah, don't just drink what this strange woman gives you, you idiot. Is she also gonna try to rape him? Because I swear, if she does, this just, ugh.
Be on it.
Now, Ator, we just need you to lay down naturally.
You will be mine till you have no strength left to gratify me.
Ew! That's so
Can't believe this
gross!
is all made out of paper.
Somebody put jelly all over these rocks.
Why do all these women try to, like, sexually assault this guy?
You pay for this, Ator.
Ator didn't even do anything, first of all. It's... You drugged him, and then you were going to sexually assault him, so... Oh,
How did he help Ator?
they're so cute! Oh, those are interesting sound effects. Oh, no!
You can't keep a dangerous B-movie monster up there.
He's just the cuddliest, wuddliest little
It was a cute bear, but it wasn't, like, you know, not a very important scene.
And a man's an empty kettle. His metal, and yet I'm
Torn apart.
Reba, come back. I miss your abuse.
What's the hurry?
The end. Hooray! From behind you, another shadow. It's just your shadow.
I'm working on the railroad
all the live long work.
Oh.
Hey, have you heard the good news about the Spider King? Whoa! Because.
Because of the wonderful things he does.
You know, I wasn't even going to climb in your mouth, but now that you keep opening
No!
it really wide, it's like all I can think of.
No!
But it was you who guided me to this place. In order to regain my rightful place. And only to return to what I have always been.
What?
The High Priest of the Spider.
What? Just cut the ropes off!
Even nodded. What are you still doing? Everyone.
It's better like this.
One less scene to shoot.
Riff-wise, that was like super good. That was a great one. The movie was like, what? But the riffs were really, really good. So let's see what the ending holds.
Oh, perfect! Jonah and his
Are they
crummy
chained
robot
up?
pals. To think, Jonah, you were almost once my husband, and now you're my slave.
You know, for someone who says they're over it, you bring it up all the time.
Jonah, you always said you wanted to go back to Earth.
Yeah, but now as a prisoner of some tyrannical ex-fiancé.
Hey, you win some, you lose some. Only in your case, it seems like you lose a lot.
Where's Waverly?
Kinga, why are we putting the Atork canister away by ourselves?
Jonah said he wanted me to do it. That big sheet cake still has a thing for me.
Oh, what's this
I mean,
gonna
he
look?
ripped it so a ring pops out. We're the ones who sucked all the art and replaced it with trash. We're the ones who fill your life with so much noise and visual clash. And Waverly,
What are you doing?
Yeah.
The deep hurting is about to leave and you're gonna miss it.
Sorry, I forgot my backpack.
now the canister, Max. Then
Wait a minute.
first we take Manhattan.
Then we take
Wait.
Berlin.
Well, there's still a hole. Oh, there we go. What?
Old experiments.
Nice green screen there, but what is going on?
This theater at the end of the storage facility?
Who knew?
Is there not a way out?
I've always wanted to, try riffing, and besides, we
Doesn't everyone? Oh boy.
Stand, Max. Push the button, Max.
Okay, but I still love you.
So... Wait, though, like...
Hours and hours of pain.
Oh, new song now?
We've been stripped to the bone by Kinger and Idiot control now.
Oh, okay.
Idiot's control now.
So we do see a little bit of this, but it's gotta be at the very end. Oh, okay. Okay. That just broke the flow, though. I'd rather we not have seen it then. So, it's like, I thought Jonah was gonna, like, try to escape. I thought that was what the plan was gonna be. And instead it was trapping the Mads in their own experiment. And I know that that's not gonna last. Obviously, they'll get out, that's not important, though. My big thing is them saying, oh, we're gonna go off on another tour. They literally just finished the tour, didn't they? Wasn't it already finished? Now I gotta look it up. Give me 2 seconds here. 2 days. Yeah, they're over, right? Yeah, they're gone. Okay, so I believe the tour was over by Thanksgiving by the time this came out. It is a little odd that the last thing in it is her saying we're set up for the next tour and bringing all the bots down and all that stuff in chains and everything, which just makes it like way more depressing. The hey, we're gonna immediately go on a tour. They literally just went on a tour. So are they saying that before the next season we're gonna have another tour and they're like already talking about it when this one literally just ended? But yeah, so I guess we will just get into it. Okay, so outside of the very beginning and the very end, the episode was great. Let's start with the riffing, I guess, then. The riffing, hilarious. Great, consistent, really, really funny. Really fell in line with the last few episodes, which is awesome. The movie itself was ridiculous. Every single woman in the world wants to sexually assault the star, which is really weird. And the riffs are just great. They just did a great job. Had a couple Wizard of Oz references, some Muppet references, all this great stuff in it. So it was super fun. All the other bots came in and had at least one line. Gypsy and Waverly, I think, had 2. Growler had one at the beginning. So that was great. They all got represented and everything. And I don't have that much to say outside of that the movie was was weird and not what I expected. It was really good, because the movie was bad, but the riffs were great. And then in the host segments, the first one was cute with Crow trying to be the trainer and them just laughing at him and everything. That was good. And then the one with the bear was cute, but I wish it had all been them on the SOL. Because once you go down to Earth, here's the thing. I've never seen, like I said, I haven't seen the live shows, so I'm not familiar very much with this creature handler they suddenly have. And then also, based on her 2 bits, it's not that funny, at least in the context of the show. I understand them wanting to put her in, maybe she's great in the live shows, but in this, I was just kind of like, she exists now, I guess, but there's not much to it, to her, to the bits that they did with her. But that beginning and that ending, like I said, I have learned to not expect anything now from this show and from storylines. Here's the thing. Back when I watched the sci-fi episodes with stories for the first time, I didn't expect anything from those either. But they still had endings, and they still felt like decent enough endings for what they were. We weren't left hanging for a year and a half or a whole season or whatever. And sometimes they resulted in things that were hilarious and lasted whole episodes, things that you didn't even think were gonna last. Like in season 8 with Mike blowing up planets and then suddenly being on trial for blowing up those planets. And that storyline leads to one of the best collection of host segments in an episode with Agent for Harm, with the black and white courtroom scenes through the whole thing. Hilarious. The best, the only storyline they've really gotten so far that I guess works is technically the Gauntlet itself is a storyline, as in it's all in a row, and that's like a loose connection for the whole thing, and that should have been the only connection between all the episodes, was that they were all happening in a row in universe. That's it. When you add the Dr. Earhart stuff, and you add the Idiot Control Now stuff, it really bogs it down. It wastes time. Again, it was a really cool cameo, but we wasted the entire opening of Killer Fish, the whole cold open, and the ending too with the Mads, all on just distilling the drink. We wasted the cold open of this one just on them with the song coming out, and we didn't even get to see the whole scene of like Earhart just drives off and that's it. I thought we would get the whole song in some form. I was a little, like I've said, I would have been disappointed that they picked Idiot Control Now instead of like Living in Deep 13, but I thought we were going to get it fully in some form. We didn't even get that, which just really proves that they're not good, like, following through with stories. They need to keep it simple. There aren't a ton of great storylines in the original series either, or storylines were good if they only lasted one episode. The episode where Tom wants to take Gypsy on a date because of the short. Like I said, the trial episode. Time Chasers, where Crow goes back in time to try to save Mike. Those episodes, when you had the one-line story episodes, that's what this show is good for, is episodes that have one single storyline all the way through, particularly when they are based on the movie, or you didn't see them coming, like the trial, and then it's really funny and well done. They can do that for sure. But you cannot do season-long stories with this series, I don't think, because they were forced to do it back in season 8, so they're like, F it, we're gonna do what we want because this is stupid. We got some good stuff out of it, like the Agent for Harm stuff, but the rest of it was kind of a time waster, unless it was an individual episode had like its own specific story. It was all so ridiculous, but in the end of season 11, it's so dramatic and out of left field, where all of a sudden it's like, the host is dead, and it's like, what? And it's so, again, it's very, very bizarre, and then with this, it's like, you wanted Earhart's thing to come to an end, you don't get to see it. How much better would the ending of the season have been if instead of putting that song over the credits, they had come out of the theater, Jonah and the Bots all sang that song, and then Kinga gave that whole speech to both them and us as the viewer about having our brains melted, whatever, and then have Jonah trap them in their own experiment, and that be the end of the season. They overcomplicated it by throwing in the live show stuff, by not letting Jonah and the Bots see the fruits of their labor. Overall, I loved the episode. Don't get me wrong, riff-wise, like I said, fantastic, hilarious. The mid-segments were fine. I would say the one with Crow and them all dressed up as the characters was really good. The bear ones, fine, whatever. But it was really just the Earhart stuff at the beginning and the live show stuff at the end wasn't good. It was convoluted to a certain extent with the Earhart stuff. It just seemed like kind of a time waster when you could have had a simpler, cleaner ending. And again, unless the one thing that could be neat, and would actually make this ending make more sense, that they're not just saying, hey, by the way, we do live shows on Earth, wink, wink. If the next season, in a way, can somehow take place on Earth, what if they end up having Jonah and the bots riff, in quote-unquote real theaters on Earth in between the live shows to, like, make them suffer more or something? That might be neat, and that would make the ending make more sense, because then you're setting up that the third season takes place on Earth, and that would be cool. But if it doesn't, if they're just back on the SOL next season, whenever the heck that is, another year and a half from now, hopefully not, then that's really lame, because it's like, then what was the point of even showing them going to Earth? Because you explain in the live shows itself why they're on Earth, so you don't need to explain it in the show. So, again, unless this is actual setup for the next season, it's just odd. I had to get that. I'm not even mad. I don't hate it or anything. And again, if I did have one thing I was kind of like, dang, it's just that Jonah and the boss didn't get to see their plan work. That's the only thing that I'd really be like, oh, like, that's disappointing. The rest of it was just like, okay, whatever. Overall, riffs are fantastic. Fits in line very well with the last couple episodes, riff-wise. Really, really high marks there. And I guess what I would just say about the season is, as a whole, is back when season 11 came out, it made sense that the first few episodes were a little rougher around the edges, and that it improved over time. This, outside of just a very few people, was a very new crew, very new cast, and they needed some chance to get their sea legs. And by the end, I thought they had really found them. They'd found their hook, and they were doing well. So I was just shocked that the first two episodes, riff-wise, were so weak. And again, this is all in my opinion, but that the first two episodes were very weak, and that the host segments really, at least the story-related ones, really, at least let me down, dropped the ball in terms of any kind of storyline. And then apparently what the Earhart stuff proves to me is, like, they really aren't that good at storylines. They don't like to have real conclusions that we really get to see that much. I don't know why they've chosen that, because, the Earhart stuff didn't end up being funny. The Jonah being interrupted was funny for half a second, I guess, and then you're like, we really don't get to know what happened? Why? So, I don't know. It was just because I went from having low expectations in season 11, ready for it to either completely suck or completely be great, either way, to having expectations for season 12, because by the end of season 11, they'd really proven themselves, and I really believed in them. And so the first two episodes did kind of come like a punch to the gut, even regardless of the Jonah storyline stuff, just because the riffs were so weak. And I kind of felt like, I could just be watching season 11 episodes I liked. I could just be watching stuff from the old stuff I liked. I could be watching riff tracks that I like. So, and that was very disappointing in many ways. And it wasn't just the storyline I was mad at. That's just how it came out. And, I didn't hate this season or anything. I just think that they did, a few things were executed kind of weird. Some things got executed way better going forward. All the extra bots, I think, have been handled really well, and I was worried that they'd either be completely forgotten or used way too much, and I think they used them perfectly in the season. That was great. I think, I love that they improved the clone by not having her talk like a robot. I think the Mads have genuinely better chemistry. I think all the main SOL crew's all doing really good. Yeah, so it's like, there were improvements, and there were things that were very good. I just didn't expect so much to not be up to the standard of late season 11 early on, when it felt like they'd found their groove already. I did notice that they did pare down the writing staff a lot, which makes sense. I think that's why we didn't get so much super duper fast riffing, and every single shot has to have a riff in it. This season we did get a lot less of that, and it looks like they cut down the writers by about half on these last few episodes. I meant to mention that reading the credits, I missed the credits on like the first one or two episodes, I think, but after that, for sure, it looks like they went from between 16 and like 21 or 22 writers, what I think was the biggest number I saw last season, to like 9 or 10 this season, I think, being the average, I think. So that could be like a huge part of why the riffing's a lot cleaner and a lot more in keeping with classic episodes and riff tracks, and not being like so rapid fire that you can't keep up. So that's good. That's, again, another major improvement. And all in all, the most important thing is that Jonah was the same. He was the same person. You know I joked about, you know, being in love with him in the season 11 Final Thoughts video and everything. But really, and this, again, is probably another reason the him dying and then not dying storyline, not having a real ending, and no one listening to him probably got to me a little bit the way it did, is because Jonah's a very important character to me. Because he is, like I think I've said before, an intelligent Hufflepuff of a person, where he's very smart, and they've made him smarter than Joel, like able to improve on Joel's own designs. Like, that's pretty smart for someone in this show. But that's not the very first thing that comes to mind. At least for me, when I think of Jonah, the first thing that comes to mind is sweet and kind. And just as a kid that grew up intelligent, I don't mean to, like, a kid that grew up as, like, the smart one of the kids her age, and I'm not saying that to be like, well, I was the smart one, but it is important in why I love Jonah so much, and that's the only reason I'm bringing it up. And it's because in media, in a lot of kids shows, the smart character is just that, the smart one, and there's not much to their personality if it doesn't have to do with numbers and science and reading and all that stuff. And that's not bad. There are people out there that just love that. That's great. But it's rare to find in a lot of kids shows. Nowadays it's getting better, but when I was little, it was rare to find kids shows where the smart character was also emotional and sweet and kind and caring and quirky, but the quirks didn't involve math and science and stuff like that. And so characters like Jonah, when I was little, were really hard to come by, when you had a character who was so kind and sweet and caring of a person, but was also very, very smart. But that was not the focus of their character. Them being a good person was the focus, and the smarts was just another part of who they were. And with Jonah, I do get that. And, you know, as someone who finds it hard to relate to real people and relates a lot to fictional characters, that just means a lot. And the fact that he also references, like, the Muppets and Little Shop of Horrors and Wizard of Oz, and loves practical effects and appreciates them in filmmaking, but loves blockbusters over, like, art house films and stuff like that, even though he can speak intelligently about movies, and just, like, all these great things about him that I can really, really relate to on a very deep sense, very deep level. And I know it's a fictional character, and I know that relating that much to a fictional character is probably not healthy or smart or anything. But that's part of why these last couple seasons have been so important to me, because I thought about it. I was like, why did the stuff with his not being dead upset me so much? It was that we didn't get closure with the story that focused on a character that does mean so much to me. And, you know, and just thinking about that and realizing that that's what it was made me feel a lot better about it in a way. And I wanted to make that clear too, because I know a lot of people were upset with me for saying that I didn't like that stuff in the first episode. But a lot of people were upset with me for not liking Reptilicus too, I guess. But I just wanted to be clear about that, and that is, because I had to explain it to myself. I had to understand it myself, that it's just, Jonah is a character that carries a lot of weight for me, because it's the kind of character I needed when I was younger and didn't have. I'm getting emotional. I didn't mean to do that. But Jonah as a character is so important to me, and I hope will be important to other kids like me in the future, to show that you can be smart, but also have a fully fledged personality and be a good person. And that can be what people see and not just the intelligence. Because that's what it is a lot when you're known as the smart one, and it's when people see the rest of you, it's really cool. And it's just like, that's what he means to me, that you can be an emotional, passionate person and be smart, but the smart doesn't have to always be the forefront of who you are. Because as a kid, I struggled with that, genuinely, of being seen just as a brain and nothing else. And no one should be seen as a one-dimensional person. No matter what the dominant thing is, you should be seen as you as a whole. And Jonah's the character I needed when I was little and didn't have for that. So that's why these seasons are so important to me, and that's why the character is so important to me. And even though none of them will probably ever see this, I do want to genuinely thank anyone involved in writing his character, and of course in Jonah Ray himself for bringing the character to life in such a fantastic way. So I just wanted to get that out there and explain that that's probably why I'm probably unhealthily invested in this show and the current run of it especially. So but that's it. I didn't mean to get all emotional there at all, because I even thought about what I wanted to say about him, his character and everything earlier, and I was like, that's good, but I didn't expect to get that into it as I was saying it like that. But like I've said a couple times in this little series of reactions, I'm all about being honest with these and with you guys. So thank you guys so much for watching all these. I hope even through my complaints and my passion, whether it be good, bad, or whatever, through this whole thing, that you enjoyed them and that you got as much out of this season as I did, hopefully more. And like, here's to a happy future of good, strong seasons of Mystery Science yet to come. Thanks again, and I'll see you guys later.